everyone, and welcome to our first eco session of the new term. Today we're going to be talking about hedgehogs. Now you might remember before lockdown we spent some time together talking about hedgehogs before they go into hibernation. So a hedgehog's hibernation time is between October, November time, round about through to March or April. But we've been really lucky lately, haven't we? Because we've had nice, warm, mild weather, which has been lovely for all of us. But also it might mean that some of the hedgehogs are starting to rouse from their hibernation. We do know that when the weather gets milder, it's quite normal for hedgehogs to wake up and get up and have a little wander around and have something to eat, and then they go back to sleep. We also know that actually some hedgehogs do choose to change their nesting site partway through hibernation. So it is quite normal for us to see movement of hedgehogs round about this time. Obviously, if you see one that you think doesn't look quite right or maybe looks sick or injured, it's best to contact your local hedgehog rescue centre just to get some advice and make sure the hedgehog's okay. But for the most part, if you see some movement, that's a really good thing. It means they're hungry, so you can perhaps start putting some food down for them. So food and fresh water. That's a meat-based cat or dog food, and definitely water, no milk. Because I'm sure, as lots of you will be able to tell me, hedgehogs are lactose intolerant, which means that if they have milk, it could be really damaging for them and really upset their tummies. And also definitely no bread, because bread fills them up and it stops them from taking on board all of the nutrients that they need to stay fit and healthy and strong. Now, with the weather being nicer, hopefully you're getting more opportunity to be out in your garden. And whilst you're in your garden, you can have a look around and think about ways that you might be able to make your particular garden more hedgehog friendly. Now we know that for hedgehogs to have the best chance of survival, they need to travel between gardens, which means they need to have access to be able to travel in between. Now to get underneath a fence, a hedgehog needs around about 13 centimetres square, which is not a huge gap, but it is a gap. So have a look and see if you've got that gap, have a measure and see if you think a hedgehog could fit through. If you don't, then maybe have a chat with your adult and see if they're happy for you to make a gap for the hedgehogs to travel through. Another thing that you can do is to have a look at your garden and see if you've got any excess netting and to remove it. Netting can be incredibly dangerous for hedgehogs because they can get tangled in it and become injured very quickly. Also, if you've got a pond, that's fantastic. Hedgehogs like to swim and it's a really great source of water for them too, but we need to make sure that they're able to get out of the pond. So you need to make sure there's a little slope or some possible means for a hedgehog to be able to climb out if they've been for a swim. Another thing, if you've got space and if your adults are happy for you to do so, you could let a corner of your garden grow a bit wild. Now having hedgehogs in our garden is fantastic because they eat all of the snugs and all of the snails that we don't want in our gardens eating our plants. So encouraging them in is not just about protecting them because they're endangered, but also it's going to make our garden a better place for our plants to grow. So if you have got a corner that you can let go a little bit overgrown, it will encourage bugs and insects to come in, which the hedgehogs will love because it's a bigger food source, and it will encourage other wildlife too. And it also means that they will have a snuggly nesting place for when the weather changes and they want to start thinking about hibernating. So if you haven't had hedgehogs hibernating in your garden before, if you are able to do that, it might mean that you might get them this time. So if you've been pruning any of the branches, or your family's been pruning branches in your garden, it's really good to put those down too. If you've got any logs of any sort, you can drill some holes in and you've actually got a ready-made bug hotel. So that's a really great way of attracting bugs in too. So there's some of the things that you can do to make your garden more hedgehog friendly, as well as obviously having a hedgehog house. If you want to have a hedgehog house, there's ways that you can build them. You can buy them, and also we're going to be looking in the coming weeks at building a hedgehog cafe. So that's something that we're going to do together, so watch this space for that. But your challenge for this week is I would like you to create a hedgehog. So you've got a creative afternoon. You can do it in any way that you like. You can draw a hedgehog, you can paint a hedgehog, you can make one out of clay, out of play-doh. You can perhaps collect some twigs or some leaves and make a hedgehog collage with some of the things that you find. You could bake some hedgehog bread. I've got a recipe which I'm going to attach as a link onto Seesaw so that you you've got access to that. You could bake some hedgehog cakes, some hedgehog cookies. You can do a junk model hedgehog. You could make a crest hedgehog. There are so many different ways that you could make a hedgehog, and I'm really excited to see what you do. Now obviously, please don't upload them onto Seesaw on Friday because it's no screen day. So if you could take photos of them and upload them next week, then I would love to see your hedgehog creations. Have a great screen-free day, have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next week.